We're now going to see if we can show the video from the Radfem Berlin meeting.
Feminist Mothers and the founder of the Women's Declaration International, which today is the strongest association against gender politics. It is an honor that Sheila is supporting us in Germany at this moment.
Hello, sisters. Yes? Excellent, thank you. Well, it's a great pleasure to me, Ali, against the introduction of self-identification of male transvestites as women in Germany. I tend to use the word transvestites these days, and in my new book I use that word because transvestism is the sexual perversion of getting excited by wearing women's clothes. It's the traditional word for that, that the transvestite activists got changed into transgenderism. So I use this traditional sexual perversion term when I am speaking as a general rule. Now, the so-called transgenders were called transvestites back before the 1990s, right up till the 1990s, by the sexologists, that is the scientists of sex. No one thought they were really women at that time, I mean nobody. They were universally understood to be motivated by masochism. So I think the traditional term is clearer. From the 1990s onwards, transvestite activists have sought to hide their sexual motivations and reinvent themselves as an oppressed group, and they have been very successful. We cannot let this continue, and history is useful in this respect. We need to know where they came from. Anymore. Transgender was a nice sanitizing term. No more were they described by a term which suggested a sexual perversion. Next, they sought to destigmatize their perversion by changing the wording in the DSM, the US Diagnostic and Statistical Manual. A gender identity disorder, which suggested there might be something wrong with the mental health, it said disorder, right, was replaced with gender dysphoria. The campaign to force the medical profession to serve their interests was long and aggressive, and I describe. And the main reason for writing that book was the need to show that men who pretend to be women are not some special oppressed category of persons who have mysteriously acquired an essence of womanhood and who require respect and legal recognition, but sexual fetishists who are masochistically excited by the subordination of women. Women's oppression is a sex aid for these men.
So, dear sisters, I'm proud to be a woman, an adult human female. And it took me 31 years to realize it. I'm now 33, by the way. 2 years, Turpin. I'm standing here in front of you as a woman who, with only 31, realized that I'm proud to be a woman. I lived a life filled with confusion and shame, with no idea of boundaries and a sexuality that was never really mine to discover. As a survivor of ancestral childhood abuse and the trauma of what followed after this abuse, that was all part of our little secret. I lived a life rejecting any sex stereotype, any trend, any fad. I was with the punks in my teens. I hitchhiked and cycled on my own to other countries, and I hated being asked if I wasn't afraid to get raped. I actually felt like this classic non-binary trope of like, I just want to be seen as a person.
When I felt alone and isolated as a radical feminist in 2017, I could have never imagined back then that 5 years later I'd be speaking here as part of a group like Get the Hell Out. I could not have imagined that in those 5 years I would see lesbian groups showing lesbian visibility against lesbian erasure by transgenderism in the UK, Mexico, Brazil, France, US, Canada, Argentina, South Korea, Peru, and many other countries where we have seen lesbians mobilizing. And special congratulations to the lesbians here in Germany who have been organizing groups or protesting dyke marches like this year in Cologne and Berlin. I don't remember. Which one?
Hamburg. Bremen.
Bremen as well.
Yeah. Berlin. Yeah.
All these lesbian and radical feminist initiatives are great sources of inspiration for us at Get the Hell Out. And so, about this realization that I became a lesbian radical feminist activist 5 years ago, it is through this gathering that my life completely changed. Being surrounded by women and a majority of lesbians from many different paths of life felt so much like paradise that the urge to share this feeling with as many women as possible has never left me since. It's a poem called An Ode to Fearless Women, so it's an ode to all of us here right now. So, I think your bones were made in an elsewhere place. How else does one explain this inconceivable strength that makes you? The way you look into dangerous mouth and see no cemetery or death. Instead, carve your name into its teeth with a switchblade, defeat it so effortlessly and throw your head back and laugh. Paradox girl, mighty woman, you are the thing that terrifies them. Both monster and maiden, both cure and poison, all of these things, and at the same time, human. Defined by no man, you are your own story, blazing through the world, turning history into her story. And when they tell you about all the things you cannot be, you smile and tell them, I am both war and woman, and you cannot stop me.